Well, in the course of taking time to keep yourself on check, when you wake up in the morning and you notice that you can still breathe in and breathe out, it means that you're still alive. So that's a very great share that, well, you are not dead yet. But even when we look at the challenges we are faced with in terms of insecurity, questions are being asked about what the government is doing. We look at how the states evolved, and of course the essence of government, where we also will not but talk about the English philosopher Thomas Hobbes that theorized the Hobbesian pattern of life, the theory of the state, where he said life is short, life is nasty, and life is brutish if there is no government. But when we have a government and then we have challenges facing us, staring us at the face, we look at the challenges in Oyo State at Orire local government at the Bomoshaw, where some pupils and of course students were abducted alongside teachers in their numbers. We also look at what happened at Musa community, in the north, where in Borno State particularly, where we also have in their numbers, primary school pupils and of course junior secondary pupils being abducted. We look at challenges also facing the Plateau axis, where on Sunday a community was attacked. We look at other areas. These issues are just too many. And then looking at the 2027 projection, basically sometimes you ask the question, where are leaders really concentrating? Are they concentrating more on how to bring back themselves in power come 2027? Or they are really bothered about the security challenges we are faced with in Nigeria? Well, my name is Philip Amaro Gupon. Welcome to TMI. And of course, I have my co-anchors with me, Olu Apostolics, as they say, ladies first. And of course, Lawrence Osifo. Good morning.
Good morning, Philip. Happy new month. Good
Awesome.
to be here. It's like the first time we're saying in the month of June.
You can
Last
say
time
that
I saw
again.
you was last month in May.
Awesome. That's intriguing.
Right. How are you?
Well, I'm great. And Lawrence, how you doing?
I'm very well. I'm good. Like she said, a happy new month. When you're here together in a brand new month, you just have to say happy new month.
Yeah.
Being alive on its own is a gift.
It's a testimony.
It's a testimony. And with the way the country is, life seems not to be, how do I put it now?
It's not palatable at all. They usually say that we
Every
used to sleep with
opportunity.
two eyes closed. But this time
now,
around,
you never sleep with any eyes
you
closed.
can't
at
sleep
all.
with any eyes closed.
You just have to be vigilant. A few days ago, my house have a security fence. So once you try to trespass, it starts blowing some kind of alarm.
Yeah.
So we started
So
hearing
that's-
the alarm, and I and my neighbor in the front block, we came out. So we now check it was a cat that was trying to find his way into the compound. So when the cat heard the sound, the cat ran back. Like, okay, we just have to be vigilant.
That's a security check.
The funny part of it is that a security division is very close to my house. Something happened at the time. We went to make a report. You know what they told us? They said they don't even have engine in their patrol van. Everybody have to be, you just have to be the security for yourself. So that's the state we are right now. Be vigilant, self-defense, try as much as possible to defend yourself appropriately according to the law. Don't overdo it. Let your self-defense be approximate with whatever the attack is. I think that's the state we are right now. But it's unfortunate that even the government are not even doing enough to protect us according to section 14(2)(b) of the Constitution, which says security and welfare shall be the purpose of government. But this is where we'll find ourselves.
Well,
we'll continue to pray to God to keep us safe.
Speaking like a lawyer and trained. You made mention of that, of the security operatives, and sometimes I just wonder, are we going forward
we're going
in
backward.
terms of tackling the issues of insecurity, and of course, or are we going backward? Because
Or we are starting
at the point where you are to get the security operatives to tackle an issue of insecurity, like what happened in Plateau State, a situation where the security operatives were called upon at about 9:22 p.m. on Sunday to help salvage the situation, But they got there late, and by the time they got there, they saw a lot of persons in bloodshed.
In most cases,
You hardly see them catching those who are really the abductors, the corporates. They only end up saying, well, investigations are ongoing to tackle the issue head on.
life has been
They always are the top of the situation.
Well, it's really a sad one, the security situation that we find ourselves in the country. Yesterday, I listened to a sister station where Buratai was actually speaking, one of the amazing army personnel or chiefs that we had one time in Nigeria, and he says a lot and tries to break down the situation that we find ourselves in the country. So he actually said that if you look at the trajectory over time, it has become a trend. But even before I say that, the insecurity situation in the country didn't start from this administration. I'm not trying to hold brief for the state government or for the federal government. But then again, going down to history or memory lane in Nigeria, it started exactly in the year 2007. And this is where we are, the Boko Haram situation. And every single time it's between one transition or the other. When Goodluck Jonathan, the administration was about to, you know, go in for a second term, we saw what actually happened. And it's not the first. The Yar'Adua administration also faced its own as well. Obasanjo administration also faced as well. So it's becoming a trend. And it's left for the federal government and the state government to, you know, look into all of this trend, the military architecture in the country, to do the needful. Over time, we see them call people. Just yesterday, I saw a video of one of the, you know, bandits releasing and flashing out their ransom they got, monies they got, and you know, a situation where the federal government can be able to hold social commentators and content creators for speaking against the government real quickly. Why is it that difficult for them to hold all of these guys, hold the bandits and, you know, the terrorists as soon as possible? What is going on? And also yesterday, former governor of Ekiti State, Ayo Fayose, was also at a sister station where he said that it seems that the security situation currently bedeviling Oyo State is, the Oyo State government is actually the one involved and the one, you know, behind all of it. Now, mind you, I don't think I've ever heard anything as regards insecurity in Oyo State before, but the moment that Seyi Makinde said he was going to be run for president in Nigeria, we started hearing the case of insecurity, and now this is where we are. Yesterday, we saw that the president ordered 1,000 forest guards. We saw a delegation after 2 weeks of the situation running down to 3 weeks. We also saw teachers, the NUT, embarking on indefinite strike after over 2 weeks of the incident. Well, it says a lot. It's really sad and pathetic that in the insecurity, just to land here, the insecurity has moved from the northeast to the northwest, and now we're seeing it a bit in the, you know, the southwest part of the region, and it's a sad one and pathetic. Please stay safe at this point.
Well, very, very sad and pathetic, but let's look at the numbers that we had. Just like Noloko Stevens earlier said, that it didn't start with this administration, but should we follow the trajectory? Shouldn't we find a lasting solution to the problems? If we look at the past administration, according to Amnesty International and the former president's administration, the person of Muhammadu Buhari, we had about over 60,000 persons feared killed in 8 years of his administration. And then looking at the numbers we have in the present administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we have over 10,000 feared killed in 2 years of his administration. Records have not been taken on the third year, and of course that on the fourth year. So if we go in this trajectory in 8 years, if the electorate votes him back, then it means that it could even outnumber that of the former, you know, administration. How do we tackle this headlong? And of course, looking at the deployment, the recruitment of forest guards and special rescue team, you know, to tackle that issue, you know, in Oyo State, again, it's another challenge. How quick, how proactive is the government in all of this? Well, we're going to be joined by our co-anchor from Lagos studio. Good morning, Miss Alina. You look great. Well, Messalina, the beautiful screen diva, we basically will be coming back to you as much as able to get connectivity, and of course to our other anchor from the Abuja studio. But let's throw this and see how all of this can affect, you know, the choosing of the right leadership come 2027. We understand the fact that, you know, if one starts an administration for 4 years, well, is I don't know what to call it, but you basically want to go for a second
No,
term,
Philip,
irrespective of the challenges that we are faced with.
It breaks my
how do we
heart.
abreast
It
what
breaks-
is happening?
it breaks my heart.
What is going to be in 2027?
It breaks my heart to see that a 2-year-old child, 2 years, a 2-year-old child can barely talk properly, like good speech. He's in captivity for 2 weeks or more.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying anything. It breaks my heart that a 3-year-old child who can just barely run is in captivity. You know, I was telling someone yesterday, psychology differs. A psychology of someone who is dead is different from a psychology of someone who is in captivity. Now, someone who is dead, you have the psychology, oh, the person has passed, you're not going to see that person again forever and ever. You build that psychology. But someone who is in captivity, you have 2 psychologies running in your head. You don't know whether the person is alive. You don't know whether the person is dead. So, you as the family member or the father or the mother of the child or the relative, you will not be stable mentally. I don't know if you understand.
Yeah.
So you build 2 psychologies in 2 situations. A dead person, you know, oh, this person has gone. There's nothing you can do to bring the person back. But this is a situation where the person is alive, but you don't know whether the person is alive or the person is not alive. So 2 psychologies are running in your head. And people are playing politics. No, we shouldn't be playing politics at this stage.
Well, the president is already deploying boys
Deployment is
guards,
not-
you know, and of course,
deployment is
special
not-
rescue team.
Deployment is not enough. What do we do before it happens?
The government is on top of the
On
situation.
top of the situation.
You
And
know,
we've been like that for years.
but the challenge here again is, if a child, like you said, 2-year child, let's look at a very critical example of a child being born today.
Yeah.
And they say a fool at 40.
It's a fool
I
forever.
didn't say that.
That's
It's
what
a
they
fool
say.
forever.
That's what they say.
And if in a very bad fate,
Yeah.
that child had 5 bad administrations. That's 40
in law, they
years.
call him Malafide.
That has wasted the life of
You
that
wasted
child.
in child of that child. Exactly.
How do we tackle this in 2027? Who is the right leader, or do we already have? I think these are mind-boggling questions.
I feel like the question should be, is the federal government or the government of the day overwhelmed with their insecurity situation in the country? Because despite all this that is going on currently, yesterday we saw the president in Lagos commissioning something there, and it begs the question of if the federal government is overwhelmed, if, you know, the government of the day even have Nigerians at heart. The other day, the Minister of Defense, Christopher Musa, was actually addressing Nigerians, and where he said that pray for the nation, basically. Pray that the insecurity will go away. And even before he actually offered us to pray or advised Nigerians to pray, President Bola Tinubu, during the Eid al-Kabir celebration, also said that Nigerians should use that moment to pray that the bandits and the terrorists would change their ways. And I remember a lot of Nigerians asking
give their lives to
that
God.
the military personnel now prayer warriors in Nigeria. But look at how things are done in other parts of the world, and how in America, for instance, if they have someone who their hands are tied here in Nigeria, they just, you know, come down, do their thing, and then they go back. But here, the situation has remained the same. It says a lot about the kind of leaders that we have, and how long too long are we going to continue like this? What's the lasting solution? The other time, Sheikh Gumi, who apparently after Saudi Arabia dealt with him, had to come out to say he had no hand in the insecurity, you know, bedelving the nation. And the reason why bandits do what they do is because they need monies, they need the ransom to get in more ammunition and more arms to, you know, create more havoc, just to, you know, paraphrase what he said, but it's really a sad and a pathetic warning at this point. Should prayer be the case? But anyway,
Exactly.
we are now in the renewed hope
question?
agenda, and the president is just renewing our hope every single time.
You know, I'm not an advocate of let's pray for Nigeria. I am a believer. I'm a Christian. I go to church.
You prefer to be a realist.
Hold on. Exactly. I'm a believer. Yesterday we had the first service for the month. It got to a point. My pastor said, let's pray for Nigeria. You know what I did? I sat down and was pressing my phone. I'm a Nigerian. But you know, when you put religion ahead of what you're supposed to do, you're delusional. That's the truth. How many times do you hear Americans say, let's pray for America for electricity, let's pray for America for security, let's pray for America for good roads, let's pray for America for education? No! You do what you're supposed to do, and every other thing just takes shapes. You don't need fasting and prayer to end security.
Okay,
It's
well,
not needed.
in as much as we've said all of this, but we're going to be looking at leadership at the crossroad, looking at insecurity in 2027. as the show progresses. And do we really have a leadership problem? Or is it as a result of governance problem or security architecture problem? Questions to be asked. We'll take a short break, after which we'll look at the pages of the newspaper. Do stay.
ITV, certainly the best.
Well, on the pages of the newspaper, we're starting with a Punch. And let's see how punchy the headlines are like today. And on the Punch newspaper, on the top of the cover page, we have this on the Punch. I said on the Punch newspaper, NCDC launches 21-day Ebola watch for exposed travelers. And of course, we have this petrol price soars, says 43% in 3 years. And 2027 polls, how it's going to be like. CBN targets 2.8 trillion naira cash in private hands. All right, this says Nest Oil wins big as Supreme Court vacates all Court of Appeal restorative expert orders, describes it as judicial tragedy. School abduction, the big headlines. Protest in Oyo, Ogun as NUT begins nationwide rally today. And of course, the NUT has already directed that teachers should withdraw their services from schools, public and private, from public primary and secondary schools in Oyo State over the abduction of the pupils and students. All right, this again is raising a very huge challenge. And that's it on the Punch newspaper.
Well, away from the Punch newspaper, let's turn our attention over now to another major headline this morning. The Daily Sun newspaper is up next, and it's leading with this major headline that says bloodbath in Plateau, Anambra, Kogi, Niger states. That's really a very, very sad situation at this point. We're just talking about the state of insecurity in our nation. But away from that, subwriter says, traditional ruler, 8 others killed, 10 injured in fresh Plateau attacks. Gunmen killed 2 policemen in Anambra State. In Kogi, 2 die in soldiers' masquerade clash. Another killed. Gunmen abduct 13. Head of vigilante dies as Joint Security Task Force kills over 200 terrorists. All of this and more you get on page 4 and 27 of the Daily Sun newspaper. Now on to politics. ADC primary, Babache Lawal resigns, accuses party, Atiku, of manipulating presidential primary. Also, Brother says Hayatuddin rules out court action, calls for united opposition on page 27. Well, still on the front page of the Daily Sun, Tinubu hails Nigerian Navy as Africa's most formidable maritime force, commissions 3 new vessels on page 7. Wike marks opposition over primary crisis in parties on page 28. Delta leaders threaten to drag INEC chairman to NJC. Alleged external interference in delinization or delineation crisis, still on page 27. Ex-Senate President Wabara urges Nigerians to unite against bad leadership. NUPRC operations shut as oil workers begin strike over stoppage of foreign training on page 25. And on the front page of the Daily Sun newspaper, we have pictures of the protest that went down yesterday in Oyo State. And finally, it says Oyo abduction, public schools grounded as teachers comply with strike, massive protest in Ibadan, Abeokuta. Well, that's all the Daily Sun have for us.
Against. All right, let's see what the Guardian is saying. The Guardian is leading with the Supreme Court vacates appellate court order against Nest Oil and Nekonde. Also on page 6 of the Guardian, divided opposition rejig 2027 polls and lineup of 11 presidential candidates. Still on the Guardian, APC ticket, Tinubu governors fight for control of 2027 National Assembly list. You can find that on page 3 of the Guardian. Tinubu lauds Navy's professionalism as Abbas inaugurates Maritime Task Force. That's on page 7. On page 30, gunmen kill 8 in Plateau. Kogi bans a festival after deadly violence. And below that, on page 5, you can find the Lagos state government laments a surge in domestic violence, a record 6,753 cases in 2025. National Association of Resident Doctors, NAROD, threatens nationwide strike over assault on doctors on duty. You can find out on page 5 still on the Guardian. And finally on the Guardian, Reps to probe 250 billion naira housing fund over transparency and delivery concerns.
And still on the pages of the newspaper, we quickly look at what we have on the Daily Trust. And of course, on the Daily Trust, we have it, which says, cholera kills 40 in Borno. And of course, we'll look at the challenges of that, and that basically will give us the reason to always stay hygienically in order to keep ourselves safe. And of course, that's where we call it a wrap on the pages of the newspaper. We quickly will be taking a short break, and after which we kickstart our first segment of the discussions, as regards 2027 and the insecurity question. Leadership at Crossroads. Do stay.
Some days, there comes the Ugemobo Festival, which the Oba celebrates outside the palace gate. A pavilion is built of red cloth where rites are performed to drive away all evil spirits still unsatisfied by the year's sacrifices. The Emobo Festival is to commemorate an event in Benin history which dates back to 1504 AD.
In a rare display of botanical brilliance, the palm tree defied natural norms, sprouting multiple branches that bear fruits.
This rare occurrence has become a wonder to many, as experts are calling it a one-in-a-million phenomenon. Could this multiple-headed marvel hold secret to agricultural breakthroughs, or is it simply a freak accident of nature? An agronomist with Nigeria Institute for Oil Palm Research, NIFOR Benin. The strange palm tree also raises issues of a blend of science with human interest and cultural significance for maximum impact.
ITV, certainly the best.
The Ugewe is the final ceremony of the series of festivals. It is one of peace and lightheartedness, following the more solemn of the ritual year. Ugewe is the festival of the Ewe leaves, a symbol of good luck and joy. It is the most popular of all that heralds the dawn of a Benin New Year, new vow, newness of life and freshness of life, and a new hope for the future. In the evening, the Ewe leaves are presented to the Oba of Benin in grand style in a colorful ceremony. The Ihogbe society, amidst singing and dancing, bring the sacred leaves that symbolize good luck, blessings, peace, and prosperity. Each of the senior members of the Ihogbe proceeds to give the sacred leaves directly to the Oba of Benin, and others put theirs at his feet.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Healthy Living. What is the kidney?
The kidney is an excretory organ in the body, which is for metabolism.
Tuberculosis affects many organs in the body, but the common ones it usually affects is the lungs.
Epilepsy is a neurological problem.
Okay.
It is an injury in the brain, which causes someone to begin to convulse, to go into fits.
It is curable, but the cure is a long-term thing.
If you eat well and avoid those risk factors that will make your immunity to be down, then the risk of contracting tuberculosis will be reduced.
If you're healthy, then you're wealthy.
2027 and the insecurity question, leadership at the crossroads, is what we will be taking a perception over on today's broadcast on This Morning on ITV. And like we shared the opening, the challenges facing Nigeria in terms of insecurity. And of course, joining me to discuss this right in the studio, at the extreme left, we have the State Publicity Secretary of ADC, and he is Christopher Ojekere. Big thanks for joining, Chris.
Yes, thank you for having me here.
And next to Chris, we have a security expert, and of course the MD/CEO of Sapphire Shield Security Outfit, and it is Reverend Dr. Sheriff Ezeke. Big thanks for joining.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Joining us virtually from Saudi Arabia, we have a political analyst, and he is Ahmed Musa Mamo. Good morning, Ahmed.
Good morning, and thanks for having me. Assalamu alaikum.
Great. And of course, also joining from Ekpoma is a lecturer at Brussels University, and he is Ibrahim Mamo. Good morning, Ibrahim.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Great. Now, let's start with you, Sheriff Ezeke. You're a security expert. How do you perceive of the security situation in Nigeria at present? And how do you see that determining how 2027 election is going to pan out, looking at the electorate taking right decisions in terms of who governs at 2027?
Thank you very much. We know that the season we are is a political season. And before, when we enter this year, I think I did say that much attention will not be given to security because too many persons, especially the political actors, they will do more on focusing on their political careers. And with this one, there's a kind of diversion of attention on the security of the citizens. And what we are seeing right now is very tense. Every day you hear of insecurity. Look at our news today. 70% of what we hear in the news is all about insecurity. It's not giving us a good image, even within and outside this country. And the thing is becoming it's escalating every time. You have 50 people die, 100 people die. It's like the value of Nigerian lives has totally reduced, that we don't give value to life. The attention of our leaders today is on how they will come back to power. But remember, the primary purpose of government is the protection of its citizens. And if we look at it, if government cannot protect its citizens, meaning government has failed. And what we're having today is that the citizens are not protected. You see security system everywhere. I mean, the system is collapsing. We need to begin to tell ourselves the truth, because insincerity breeds insecurity. When we are not sincere in handling security issue, it will breed insecurity.
Okay, are you saying that it's as a result of leadership failure or governance issues or that of security architecture, or all of them in the sweep?
The ball ends in the leadership structure. It ends at the table of the leader. Because before you make up your mind to come and lead, leadership has to do with protection of lives and property, making the lives of the people better. It's not to enrich ourselves. Because what we are seeing is the opposite. Too many leaders go into leadership in terms of political aspect of it just to enrich themselves. Too many, not all of them.
Okay. We've been having these challenges of insecurity, and of course, if we did back history, in the past administrations, we've also had it. And looking at what the opposition is coming up with, because some have said that, well, this is an opportunity for the opposition to throw into the balance what they can do to outweigh the lapses of the present administration. But again, what do you see as your party's priority in terms of tackling the gaps we are having at the present security issues in Nigeria?
I think the CEO hinted at what the framers of the Constitution had in mind, which every society that are made up of human beings, where you have blood flowing in their veins, and understand the value, the intrinsic value that God has put in mankind that makes human beings different from every other creature and every other object. The framers of our Constitution, taking that into consideration, said the only legitimacy any government has is when he's able to provide security and welfare for its people. So if you have a situation where a government is so desensitized, inhuman, and has no sense of human values and dignity, and would not provide security for its citizens, that government has failed. That government legitimately ceases to exist. It is now an oppressor holding the reins of power and putting the patriots of the country, of the state, in bondage, in subjection by the reins of power. It is an intrinsic, inalienable right for we to be protected by our government. So we have built that. We think of that all the time, and we are running our campaign on that. Now, if you want to look at the suggestion of our manifesto, it is that we should expand the security structure in such a way as to ensure that you have more players. Why do you have people like this, for instance, who have gone into research and have done work on local and maybe national and international security, but let's deal with the local. On local security, can provide intel, can provide intelligence. And such people, you don't have, whatever you call it, a kind of boardroom where they and government are synergizing on how to tackle the security situation. It is not a question of political will, as some people put it. It's a question of moral will. It's a question of the fact that those who are in government now have no sense of the dignity of man. And so you have a situation where lives are being slaughtered on a daily basis, and the government does not care about that. So we care. You have a president-elect, a candidate that has been elected who cares, who is empathetic, who has always talked about security, and is still talking about security or insecurity, as the case may be. And that is because he understands that the primary purpose of why he has to rule is that human life, Nigerians, we should come back and have dignity. Yesterday I was watching a video that brought tears to my eyes. They were called wives of the emirs that have been kidnapped by these bandits and terrorists. And have you seen the AK-47 gun? It's totally iron, apart from those bottom butts where you have the shiny thing that is probably wood. Every other thing there is iron. They were using AK-47 gun to dig their head. To dig their head. They were digging their head until blood was flowing, and then knocking them from side to side. They were about 3 or 4, sitting down crying, dressed in their full regalia as, hajias in the forest. So the bandits, it's not about religion. The bandits are from a tribe. They are demons. Terrorists and bandits come from a tribe, from hell. They are demons. They make no distinction between emir's wives and pope's wife or Catholic wife. Therefore, binding common humanity is that dignity of man, is that right to existence. If you don't have empathy, so you have a president that is so desensitized towards human lives and activated towards mercantilism, towards money, towards power, that the country is just left at the mercy of demons, of tribe from demon, of demons from the demon tribe from hell. So that is the situation. We can't begin to lay any legitimacy to campaigning or say we want to take over the reins of government if security is not our priority. That must be our priority, and it must start from the fact that the person representing us must have empathy, must place human lives above every other considerations in seeking governance.
Let me come to you, Mr. Azeke. You are a security expert. Over time we've had not all security issues should we talk about in the media space. But as an expert that you are, do you think the process of tackling insecurity is being sabotaged, or there is no will by the government in power? Probably they are not exposed to enough resources to tackle the situation. Because I, as a young man, growing up as a child back then, I could still remember, not in the 70s or the 80s or in the 90s, I wasn't born then, but at least early 2000s, when you go to the village to visit your grandma, you sleep outside when there is heat till 2 a.m. Even till the next morning, you're not scared of nothing. You go to the farm, even these guys they call the headsmen or the so-called alleged bandits now, you give them water when you see them on the road going to the farm. none of these things were happening then. So right now, as it stands, 2026, what is really the issue? Would we say the government, their hands are tied, or there's somebody is somewhere sabotaging the process?
How do we get to this point?
Exactly.
It's a kind of heartbreak that Nigerians, we have found ourselves in this condition. Yeah. The situation is very terrible. We are already ready. How to come out is the issue. We've allowed this thing to escalate for some time. It has become a monster, and even the government cannot even easily manage it. We talk about the years before now, where you can go to the farm and stay for 3-5 days, and you come back home. Yeah. Nobody's asking, nobody's fidgeting, nobody's afraid. You are traveling, you don't even have to pay much. Yeah. You are studying, you are traveling. Even when you are sleeping in your house, your 2 eyes cannot be closed. You are moving outside, you are afraid. There is tension, there is fear. We hear every day the way people are being killed, not just in the farm now, not just on the highway, even in the streets, in their houses. Nobody is safe, from the presidency, even to the baby in the womb. Nobody is safe. We are just living in a country of fear. How do we go about this? How do we get to this point?
Okay.
Because negligence.
Okay.
Our leaders neglected certain things they would have done before now. And the thing has grown to become a monster.
Okay.
And everybody is feeling the pinch.
Let's use what you just said to ask the next question. Ahmed Musa Momo from Saudi Arabia joining us virtually. I hope you're still there. Now, let's look at what is happening. You heard what our guests have said so far in the studio, trying to make a blame on the present administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We've had the numbers, even in the previous administration. We had over 60,000 being killed, according to Amnesty International report. And of course, the current one, the current president, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, under 2 years of reportage, we've had over 10,000 persons feared killed. Now, we look at what is happening in Oyo State, the abduction, and of course, the lack of proactive, exercise taken by the president, where he, after a week or thereabout, is now even recruiting forest guards, to launch an attack on those abductors that abducted the children and teachers in Oyo. What do you see as a challenge under this present government? Do you see them lacking the political will, Ahmed?
Thank you very much. My brothers on the studio, I appreciate all your contributions. It's very saddening that we are still in this situation. This situation started barely when Jonathan was president of this country. That was when we had the first and the highest one, the Chibok girls. And we have had series of it, like you have mentioned, the Amnesty International. I think the government that we voted into power has a lot to do. They have not really done anything to tackle insecurity in our country. And it's so saddening. It's so saddening that what you watch right here in Saudi Arabia, we watch the way those people are being maltreated, the women and the school children are being maltreated. Are these people human beings? I think I spoke to some of these security people, friends, even right here in Saudi Arabia who came for this Hajj. It is all sabotage. They all make money out of it. Money are voted into security. But what comes out of it is nothing. You mean they don't have the techniques to know that, they know where these people are, but they only know the techniques of how telephone of leaders, politicians are being tapped? Is that all they know? Nigerians should rise up. And I think that it is time for us. I was thinking we will have a better opposition in this country. But the opposition we have now is within ourselves and within our party. You hear our party insulting each other when they lose into primaries and they want to be in power completely. I really thought that we will have a better, opposition that will put the present government to be on their foot. So that when they attack the government on what they are supposed to do, and the government will sit and know that, oh, this is an opposition coming. I said it the other day. I said, we don't have opposition yet to tackle insecurity in this country, to tackle our issues. No, we don't. All this we are seeing again now is all going to end in futility. Nothing will come out of it. Go and write it down. Because we have already missed it. We have already missed it. The leaders coming together were not able to put their house in order. When we wanted to remove Jonathan in power, when the opposition wanted to remove Jonathan in power, they fought Jonathan based on insecurity. That was one of their primary. They rioted. They led protests in this country. With leaders who led protests today, like the president, the current president, led some protests, even to INEC. Led some protests about the Chibok girls. What has happened? When the wife of Jonathan was saying, "Chai, there is God," oh, we thought it was dramatic for Nigeria. But who is speaking today for us? Who is speaking for the insecurity? I agree with them that everybody who wants to come to power is all about money. Oh yes. Oh yes. It's all about money. Nothing else. But I see no enjoyment in power when you cannot help your country, when you cannot find solution to the security situation of this country. It's so saddening that we call a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, and it is no more. It is now for themselves. We are here. We have continued to use this opportunity to pray for Nigerians right here in Saudi to help us with the security situation. I just think we just prayers. And the second one is for the youths to take over, to rise up, not taking over power, rising up. Let us rise up. Because we are not in Afghanistan. We are not in Syria. We are not in Iran, where there is war. It's like we have war in this country. I think the government has failed. The government of Nigeria has failed. The federal government has failed. The state governments have all failed, because you see, when Mr. President came up on board, instead of us to tackle insecurity, we started his second term bid. All we started how he's going to become president for the second term. So we don't have the citizens at heart. I listened to a voice note this morning from Nigeria where they said the way they kidnap now is to call somebody out and say, "Oh, come, so thing is happening in your shop," or they have looted your shop. Once the person comes there, they kidnap the person. We are facing that one. We are facing the banditry. We are facing all sorts of security. So I think it's a sabotage, not only from government, from even the security agencies. It's a sabotage. And I think it's something Nigeria needs to rise up. We need to rise up. We need to rise up.
Thank you very much, Ahmed Musa, for your objectivity. Let's quickly have your thoughts. Ibrahim Momo from Ekwama, do you share in what Ahmed Musa said? Because some have asked, what really will be the measurable targets that the current administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu can use to canvass for votes come 2027? Do you see any?
Well, I think the issues are never simplistic. They are not the way people try to paint them. It's a zero-sum game. It's either it's performing or it's not performing. Whereas, if we do a sector by sector, sectoral or issue by issue based analysis, it is not a yes or no answer, performing or not performing answer. The first point I'd like to make is the fact that when you look at these governments, there are quite a number of things it has done well. And I'll list quite a number of them. Secondly, on the basic issue that it has to tackle, it appears that it is not doing very well in it. And then thirdly, we look at what opposition do we have? What rival do we have to the status quo, to the current administration? And then when we look at it, so the issue is not as straightforward as the question was asked, in my opinion. So on the issue of this government, it is not true that the government has not done anything. When it comes to security, when it comes to economy, I think the government has been making one or two moves. We may not highlight, we may not accept them, but there have been some successes in the security architecture of this country. For example, we can report that there has been some rescue of kidnapped children across the country. There has been some killings of criminals, bandits, Boko Haram, killer headers, another terrorist. There have been some killings. That's on the security front. On the economic front, the reality is that we've done some things that are worth mentioning. And those who have stayed long in this country, who have lived long in this country, know how it used to be, for example, when during the Christmas, the Yuletide, where fuel, which used to sell for around 100 and something naira, would suddenly jump to, during the Christmas period, it would jump immediately to about 5,000, 4,000 per liter. Those instability, those, inflationary trend no more exist. Now we are certain how much is a liter of fuel. So those kind of shocks are not there anymore. But look at why we are saying that the government has done some things. There are so much the government is not doing. And I'll take it on those 2 points also. On the initial started with the security front. I think it was the security expert in the studio that said, and I just want to react. The primary goal of government, the primary objective, the fundamental objective of government is the protection of lives and property of the citizens.
Okay, Ibrahim Momo, if you can hear me clearly, I think it seemed like you are leaving the question that was asked and you're deviating, and that's not what we're talking about here. Whether instability of PMS during UTAD it has never happened for like 2 years, but we should not compare the price. I think a lot of Nigerians will tell you to rather queue and buy fuel for 200 naira per liter than buying it for 1,300 without queuing, because it saves you more money. But let's leave that aside. Now, you're trying to pinch some of the one or two advantages of what you feel. But we are looking at the security situation right now. Someone who is not safe, that cannot ply the road, you stay in Ekpoma, you know what people say when you're coming to that axis, you have to pray, you have to fast before you get to Ekpoma. Let's look at the main issue of the security situation. In your own opinion, do you think the government of the day under Bola Tinubu and APC have done so much? Because people try to compare Jonathan's administration, Buhari's administration. He said he can do it. That was why he came. So you're comparing administration with administration, that is insignificant. Tackle the situation. That's what we want you to do. So even if you're tackling the situation, you're telling us you need another vote to another 4 years. The people will gladly and willingly give it to you. In your own opinion, do you feel this government under Tinubu has done enough in tackling security? Because that's where you are right now. You and I know what happens there. That's the question.
Okay. Now, if the point I made was very clear. I said at the beginning of my intervention that there are three broad areas I want to look at it. I started by saying that it is impossible or it is incorrect to say that they have not done anything. And I've only just addressed the fact that there are some areas they have done, taking some actions. Then I now said that there are, even when we look at those actions, those steps that have been taken, is it enough to say that the government has done well? And that was what I was addressing when you interjected. And then the third point I was going to make, so I'm going to talk at the last two now. The third point, I said this thing at the beginning of my comment, that when we don't look at what alternatives do we have, these are the three issues I want to. So on the second point around what the government has done so far, is it enough? The reality is that even though we can say that 1, 2, 3 steps have been taken, it is almost impossible to give this government a pass mark. On those 2 points, that we can say that they have done some things, the issue of security and the issue of the economy. It is almost impossible for any Nigerian, even the government, to give itself. I saw the Minister of Defense, Christopher Musa, the other day was saying that it will score this administration 65 to 70%. And I said, in what way? I said it because in another intervention, I've also had to write and then speak on this issue. Then in what way do you give the government? Is it the fact that there are no more safe schools in Nigeria? Where in Oyo, where in Oyo, for example, and in Kwara, at this moment as we speak, that innocent school children and teachers are being kidnapped? Is it on that point that we can say the government has done well? The answer is no. So even if the government is said to be doing some things, security-wise, we can say that the little it is doing is insignificant compared to the challenges that the people are facing. And then I said that, more fundamentally, that the primary responsibility of government is the protection of life and property of the citizen. So I have the question, is government protecting the life and properties of Nigerian citizens? Is it effectively doing that? The answer is no. Internal security, broadly, have different conceptions. Some people see security as national security, protection of our borders for external attack. But what we have seen that Boko Haram and the bandits are multinational. So Nigeria's borders are not protected. When we look at regional security, national security, this government is failing. When we look at regime security, those in power, then we can say that the government is doing well. Because they are able to protect themselves. In all the killings, all the kidnappings, how many governors, how many deputy governors, how many senators, how many House of Rep members, how many ministers, or even the president of have been kidnapped? We answer with 0. So in terms of regime, so it is a matter of conception. This government might see itself as done a lot of security, give it 65 to 70% because it's able to protect itself, insulate itself. But the key issue around security today is not even regime security or national security. It is about the human security. How secure are the human beings in Nigerian cities?
Very much, Ibrahim. Thank you. You've ventilated your point, but let's quickly go to the ADC Publicity Secretary Edo State. And of course, we understand the fact that your primary has been conducted in your party, and you already have a candidate, a presidential candidate, despite the fact that there are some who say that what even transpired in the ruling party also featured in your party. And unfortunately, I'm not saying that. Some have said that even your presidential candidate is not a shining example that can help tackle the challenges facing Nigeria. And you have been dogged, you have been rugged in terms of finding lasting solutions to our problems. Doesn't that puzzle you? Most especially when some have said that rather than for the opposition to come around on a security agenda and unite to tackle this headlong, to have one presidential candidate that can put in the contest with the ruling party, but rather they are on divided stands. Do you see your party's candidate as that which can really wrestle power from the ruling party, irrespective of the fact that you also have other presidential candidates?
Now let me make some points very clear. We, the ADC, who were the precursors of finding solutions to the malaise and the malignant government we have of APC, we who dreamed the vision led by our presidential candidate today, and then brought people in the coalition and set objectives for that coalition. Primary among them is to ensure that Nigeria does not become a one-party state, to ensure that we do something about security, to ensure that our economy is rescued and then rebuilt. We set out on that motion and invited others, and they came in. that objective has not been tampered with. That objective remains the same. And then some, for other reasons, some of which you might know, decided halfway that their personal ambition or their ego or the flattery of people means more to them than the objective. Left. We, the ADC, cannot take responsibility for that. Rather, we should continue to be praised for having the initiative to kickstart all of this in the first place. We were undaunted. We didn't say because they left we were going to dissolve. We were tough. So when the going got tough, we still kept going. Was it election or selection? Because some said that the process was rigged. You are not getting me. I'm giving you the philosophy, because you are trying to put everything around the man. You must look beyond the man towards the objective and philosophy of this organization called the ADC. Don't join those who cannot elevate their thinking to that level. You are capable of that thinking. The idea still remains there. They're concentrating on the man Atiku Abubakar, who by all standard and for all intent and purposes is a leader that you can't compare with any other person challenging him, who has antecedents, has built business empire, has remained a democratic force and voice, an epitome and embodiment of democracy, who is the most detribalized Nigeria in existence today and the greatest unifier in Nigeria today, and has remained there and is preaching the same thing. So he hasn't veered, he hasn't changed. But in time past, majority votes never allowed him to emerge as even president-elect. So because that show that the electorate will not. What it shows is that learning is a gradual process. And that's why I say experience is a very good teacher. I don't call him the best teacher, because the Holy Spirit does that job. Experience is a very good teacher, second best to the Holy Spirit. People come to know, when Donald Trump was president of America, the first tenure, after he left, because he had an agenda that was not clear to the American public, Donald Trump became the demon of the world. There was no vilification that Donald Trump did not suffer from CNN and multinational companies, pharmaceutical companies, who all set up that reign the way they have done to Atiku. But there was no proof. But Donald Trump did not give up. He became courageous. And today, Donald Trump is ranking as one of the best presidents America has ever had. So the fact that people have not become knowledgeable and understand the vision and mission, and in the past, you have some political, obstacles, like the existence and the living of, bless his soul, President Muhammadu Buhari, that occupied the Northern Talakawa as their leader. And so the North are not moved to giving leadership or followership to two leaders. Now that Buhari, God has called him home to rest, Atiku has stepped into that shoe. He's the leader of the Talakawa now and the leader of the Northern, political structure. So that was the obstacle on his way. Majority vote is not going to pour to him. And I'll give you an advantage. All the other presidential candidates that you have are from the South. There is nothing you're going to tell me about that. They are going to divide. They are going to split. They are going to shred the Southern votes among themselves. There is no way that those of you are shredding the Southern votes among yourselves. We win over the man who is bringing in the majority votes. There is no way. That's not subject to logic, to argument.
Let me come to you. The problem of every society, it's always a leadership problem, and that is part of what we're looking at, leadership at a crossroad. In the process of selecting or electing or picking our leaders, should there be some other things we should look out for beyond he has been a politician for decades? He has been a politician for donkey years. He has been there since even before 1999. Should there be other some other criteria we should look out for? Because every leader in a society comes from a home, comes from a family, comes from a background. How do we, in the process of selection or election or picking leaders, what should we look out for?
All right, the quality of the lives of your citizens determines the quality of your leaders. When the quality of the leaders is low, it will definitely affect the quality of the life of the citizens. if you pick, just like you talk about selection or election, if you just pick somebody because of, you know, the person, either by tribalism or sectionalism, you fail the whole thing. We are not even looking for leaders, we are looking for saviors.
At this juncture,
we are looking for saviors. Because we are, in this quagmire, we are looking for saviors. Not just someone that can come and speak grammar. Not someone that can tell you that this is the amount of money I have. This is the company I have. This. Somebody that will come and really deliver this country from this real problem. And we should look at the quality of people we put in power. Because if you miss it, your system, just like when you marry a wrong woman, your entire life will be wrong. If you have a wrong leader, the entire system will be wrong. There's nothing you can do about it. That's why at this time, Nigerians should be acting like what he said. We should be very, very conscious of who we are bringing into leadership. Because when you bring in determines even the security issue. Because we are talking about security and leadership. We should begin to look at the way this whole thing has really been structured. We have a lot of people living with us. Nobody is caring about how they are being profiled. There are so many that even if care is not taken, they will begin to rake shoulders with even the citizens.
Absolutely.
When last did we do census? To differentiate, nobody's even talking about it. Nobody's talking about it.
20 years ago.
To differentiate the citizens and the strangers, we have a lot of strangers in our midst. And so every day, they are coming in their thousands. Our borders are open. The security architecture is so damn that we cannot even manage the system. Let us be sincere. The police is underfunded. Just go to our police stations and you see how these police officers have been taken care of.
Exactly.
Look at what they are using to work for
the tools, their uniform, their
just even their vehicles. Yeah. You will just weep.
Exactly.
Even the military too. And apart from that one, what are we using to fight this whole thing? Let's not talk about politicians.
As the strategies we're using.
We need to go into technology. We need to use technology to address our problem.
Okay.
When Trump came into power, within 100 days in power last year, Trump mounted 88 satellites in the orbit to track whatever he wants to track. How many satellites do we have? Nigeria only have 2 satellites. Nigeria, American Army alone has more than 250 satellites in the orbit. Wow. To monitor what is happening. What America is doing now, they want to feel the heartbeat of the earth. They want to know what is happening. Even in your own studio, they want to know what is happening. There are a lot of satellites they are putting in orbit now to manage the whole system.
Yes,
but we are still putting our soldiers on the field to confront these people at this 21st century.
Yes, there's no doubt that there's a lot of gap that needs to be closed. And that's again, and I'm going to bring another question to my mind for you, most especially when we know that your presidential candidate has been in the game of the electoral process for many a time. And again, there's this challenge that if politicians come into election, they are seen as, businessmen, and they will definitely take stock of the amount of money they spend so far. Some have already said that the safety of our common patrimony will not be guaranteed under your presidential candidate. Yeah. And again, I don't know if you heard what the our political analyst said from Saudi Arabia, that he can't even find the opposition any candidate ready to wrestle power. So looking at all of this background and the business-like motivation of politicians and that of your presidential candidate, some already have these fears. How can you ameliorate the plight of the electorate?
Those fears are genuine. They wouldn't be human if they didn't have those fears. But I'm happy that you are a journalist and you understand the difference between opinion and facts. So people are expressing their opinion. We are dealing with hard facts. As vice presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar was the head of the economic team. And that regime, without any equivocation or apology, is the best democratic regime and economically progressive regime that Nigeria has had since 1999. We had our debts cancelled. We had a nation that was pariah, brought out of pariah status. We had EFCC, ICPC, banking reforms, custom reforms, all of that, and he was the head of the economic team. And then we, engendered the privatization process that would have saved NNPC 210 trillion that was lost between 2017 and 2023 if we had done privatization. So these are facts you can't run away from.
But he wasn't taking such decisions. He wasn't taking such decisions. He wasn't the president.
You see, when it comes to the blame, he takes the blame. But when it comes to the glory, he wasn't taking decisions. So hold on. But when it comes to the blame, he takes all the blame. He takes the blame for the corruption in the system. But when it comes to the progress, he doesn't take any glory. You see, so that's the biased thinking. Why? Because you have a malignant president who was bent on destroying his political career without any evidence. When he was vice president, President Nuhu Ribadu, who is our national security advisor, and I'm saying it on public television, El-Rufai was a part of that committee that was set up to go and try him, and then he waived his vice presidential immunity to be tried. Nothing was discovered. He's been taken to court more than any other human being in Nigeria today. Nothing has been discovered. So why should I continue to pursue the mentality and opinions of people who don't show me hard evidence?
But don't you think it's
time
time
for him and then I can
rest a little bit?
Sorry?
Don't you think it's time for him to rest a little bit?
When he has not found the solution he's seeking?
What's the solution?
The solution to Nigeria's problem. Everybody has a life ambition. Some people's ambition is to become drug lords after they become president. So you see their model are international criminals, or international drug lords. Then what's Atiku's model? So there are people, everybody has his own life desire and career and ambition, and you want to fulfill it, and you are grateful to God that you are still alive to fulfill it. He has a dream to democratize this nation. He has a dream to industrialize this nation. He has a dream to revive our economy, to provide security for this nation. He's still pursuing it. I mean, Donald Trump just turned 80. Donald Trump, if he had strength, if you do a vote today in the census in America, I tell you that people will vote for Donald Trump for the 10th tenure. So it is the competence you are bringing in. That's the question we are trying to ask. Whether there are other considerations. In analysis too and in criticism, people should take their eyes off religion, take their eyes off it and say, what's the competence? A man that has built... Yes.
Can we take our eyes off it?
Yes, and that's what I'm doing here when I gave you all the reforms and all the credentials. I mean, look at his businesses. You have never had bankruptcy in any of his businesses. Look at his family life. He has the most disciplined set of children that this country has produced. So why do you just hate a man? Look at his courage, his influence, his network. So the point is that you have to have hard evidence before you come and tell me that Atiku is not the most qualified person to rule Nigeria today. Now, one of the biggest problems we have in this country today is polarization. Part of the central thing we must be looking at in bringing the presidential candidate and the president is somebody who can unite the country together, because united we stand. One of the reasons Tinubu is not getting any assistance is because as soon as he became president, he ostracized the other section of the country. And so people say, okay, since you are appointing only Yorubas, Atiku's private doctor for decades is an Igbo man. Okay. Since you are appointing only Yorubas, run the country and let's see. And that's why I see that whenever Lanuga talks, people poo-poo. So it's not getting ideas. It's not getting feedback. It doesn't understand how the rest of the nation operates because it's not getting cooperation. So you need a unifier, somebody in the center of affairs that people can relate to, feel safe with, have confidence in. And that's going to help a lot in nation building. So he has all the credentials. People have opinions. Unverifiable opinions. Oh, he's not safe. Now look at what the NNPC, I just quoted to you, 210 trillion. Was lost between 2017 and 2023. What is his idea of big multinationals like that? All those cows. He said, privatize them. In fact, the telecoms today is privatized. We have GSM run networks. We have those selling software, hardware, those providing services and so on. Do you know the number of companies that have come from deregulating and privatizing technology? You might just have an in data. And one in
in my area, is not working.
Because the government does not have that as a deliberate policy. Okay. The agency is going to have all sorts of things as deliberate policy because we want to encourage private sector players, private sector, private enterprise. So we are going to have deliberate policy that will free the resources. The reason why the federal government is afraid to free the resources because he has a control mentality. He wants to control. He wants to be the only one control the fiscal, economy. I feel like he can steal as much as he can steal, and nobody's going to.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Let's go to Ahmed from Saudi Arabia. Thank you for your time with us. I understand the fact that there was a time I was opportunity to speak with you right in the studio, and I addressed you as a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress. I understand the progresses you've made so far, you know, in the party, the ruling party, but you are not sentimental, and you are very, very objective in what you say. You've already said it, that you are not really seeing the present government in its optimal level, and you also expressed such disappointment now in the opposition that you can't even find a candidate or a viral opposition that can contest with the president. Now, do you seem to suggest that it's a hopeless situation, or what should the electorate do, and what is the yardstick they should have in choosing the right leader come 2027?
Well, thank you very much. I want to talk to my brother in the studio, the ADC publicity secretary. I am so disappointed that he's from the south, and if actually Atiku Abubakar means well for this country, Nigeria, he knows very well that it is the turn of the South to produce the president of this country. I haven't had Buhari to have their term, the 2 terms they had in the North. So if he was actually wanting to build one Nigeria, build a country that we will all deserve to have a leader, I should have seen him like somebody who will build a party the way Asiwaju build APC and use Buhari to pilot and taking over from the PDP as opposition party. So must Atiku become president of Nigeria before Nigeria will become better? It doesn't mean that Atiku cannot put a party together the way Asiwaju put APC, CPC, Coalition, NNPP, PDP. Them Rotimi, Amechi all came together, Kwankwasia came together, himself came together. He opted out. Must he be president? And I think this is his last chance. If he thinks because he's the only candidate from the north, he can muzzle vote, it's a lie, because already Kwankwasia has already left and is with Obi. They are going to share the votes. And let us look at it very well. Is it that you build a party, you want to eat and benefit from it, and you must win you must always be the presidential candidate of your party? No. Atiku is not a better choice for Nigeria. And I am urging every Nigerian, the way I'm urging even myself and my family, to vote out bad leaders. And I think Atiku, yes, I agree with his policies when he was vice president. He did a lot. He had the opportunity of working with a president who never had trust in him because of his antecedent before. And we are not talking of family background now. We are talking of presidency. We are talking of how Nigeria can be rescued. Among them, who is talking of more of his security? Among the presidential candidate, who talks more of his security, even though they say it in the lips of their mouth? Who really have the genuine heart to come and fight security for this country among them? So they have lost it right from the beginning for that coalition that they already discarded by Obi having his party as NDC, Atiku wanting to be president. Even Amechi is still angry as of today. So who is his vice president that will muzzle vote for him from the south? Atiku, who is his vice president? He does not have. He does not have. Is it Mogalu? Is it even the Rotimi Amechi? No. They don't have a vice presidential candidate that can give them votes from the south. It is the turn of the south. Why did he not allow one of the presidential candidates from the south?
Thank you so much, Ahmed Musa. Big thanks for taking our time to be part of this. We apologize. There's a much you can take on this, on your expressions on this. But let's quickly, for a minute, go to Ibrahim Momo from Epoma. What are your closing remarks?
Well, very quickly. One is the fact that the opposition has failed to show character. One of the elements of leadership is character. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Go around the world, countries where you have had opposition mostly as ousting and incumbents, it is by a broad-based coalition of opposition parties. But what we have in Nigeria is that everybody in the opposition wants to be on the ticket. At the last count, we have counted about 7, from Atiku Abubakar to Peter Obi to Dumebu Kachukwu to Omoyele Sowore. And the list goes on. APP, in fact, even has to Goodluck Jonathan and Sunday Ono, among others. So that is the challenge, that if we want to feed this country, people must learn to step there. So it's clear that whilst the opposition can might want to leverage on the challenges of Nigeria under the APC administration, it is the most greatest undoing that they have is the opposition themselves. Their inability to coalesce or unite or come together. And that is why I think they are all working for the APC. All the opposition leaders, like Atiku, it would be, they are all working for the election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Thank you so much, Ibrahim. That's much can take from your end. Let's quickly, in 30 seconds, to round up.
I think the level we are now is for everyone that is coming to the table should be conscious of the security of the citizens. That should be #1 priority. If I come on board, I should make sure that my constituency, the people there, they are secure.
All right, thank you.
And Nigeria should invest more on security.
Thank you.
Very, very important.
People must remember that when you have 7 people sharing one little thing, they cannot make any impact. Let's take our vote and add to the man that is bringing all the vote from the north, and then give him the vote and win the presidential election.
Big thanks, gentlemen, for taking our time to be part of this. We now join our Abuja studio for a continuation of the conversation.
Wonderful morning to you. Also, welcome to the Abuja studio right there. And this, we'll definitely be taking a look at the recent space of killings and kidnapping in different parts of Nigeria. And the recent one is what went down in Oyo State, where a whole lot of students were kidnapped, and also some have been killed in the process. And that has also necessitated the federal government to take decisive action, and also sending the federal government delegation to Oyo State and to unravel and bring back home those kids and school teachers that are still left standing right here. And also joining me via Zoom this morning is to take a look at that is no other person than Dr. David Okoro, who is a security analyst. As we take a look at this, he's also with the International Institute for Security and Governance Studies in Abuja. As we take a look at the recent spate of kidnapping and what impact this would definitely have on education, because that is one major thing right there. The ricocheting effect of this on education has been something that's been at the front burner, with a lot of people taking a look at what is really happening with the recent spate of kidnapping. Not forgetting that in recent times, some major musicians have also come out to really kick against it, asking federal government to do something about this. And also, though efforts have been put in place by federal government to unravel this and probably bring the kids back home, how soon that will be, and what will be the attendant impact on this is what we'll be looking at this morning. And like I said, Dr. David Okoro is joining me via Zoom as we talk about this and also taking a wonderful morning to you, Dr. David.
Good morning, ITV, and how are you?
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And I know you have been following recent events in the country, especially with the spate of killing, kidnappings, and so many things. With the recent case of what went down in Oyo State and the effort by federal government to unravel this and bring those kids back home. Let's take a, when you heard about this, what was the first thing that came to your mind when you heard about the kidnapping of students in Oyo State?
Well, thank you for having me. Unfortunately, I was not surprised because this was to be expected. I'm a professional in this sector, and I have done quite some work on the school security, protection of children, ensuring that children have issue the capacity to protect and secure its citizens. You expect that things like this will happen. Of the Southwest, where the children have been taken.
Really sad what really went down in your state right there. But now let's take a look at the impact of this on declining school attendance. Do you think parents and kids will feel safe to send their children to school right now? What would this have? What would this have on school attendance, and also parents allowing their children to go to school?
Alive, and then they are brought back dead, or they are kept in. Like now, these children have been for weeks. For weeks, they are in the camp of merciless bandits and terrorists, want to have his children in this kind of situation. So parents are a bit, at this time, parents are fearful. They are scared to send their children to school, particularly in the north. What our studies showed was that many people would rather have their children at home and alive than send them to school. So kidnapping like this had affected school attendance. Look, we were doing under the Safe School Plan, why it was being implemented. Really, we have a plan. I'll talk about that shortly. But why that plan was being implemented at the beginning, I remember that we visited, I led what we call the stakeholders forum in Niger State. And in the meeting we had with parents, with society stakeholders and all that, including children, I remember asking the children about their experience in schools. And they said, look, in schools these days, they cannot focus on learning because they are afraid that kidnappers could just come from, or bandits could just come from the bush, take them and go back into the bush. So they are not able to even focus. They go to school, but because of fear, they can't focus. So there are psychological implications of what is happening. There is implications for the education sector itself. It's massive. The impact is widespread, and it will take time as academics to study and actually see the extent of the damage that this persistent insecurity that becomes a national security crisis is doing to our education sector.
Let's talk about the impact, what the Nigerian Army and also security agencies do face when it comes to internal conflict, internal problems like this, compared to when you are fighting outside the shores of this country. How stretched do you think the military agencies and paramilitaries have been stretched, and what impact do you think this can have on our military architecture, putting into consideration the fact that it's happening in Jos, it's happening in Oyo State, it's happening in Ekiti, it's happening in the east, it's also happening in the northeast and the north central. What impact do you think have on our military? Could this affect their morale? Could you also have stretched our military to the BIS level where they may not be able to cope again, probably be overwhelmed?
Maybe I'll start by agencies, the military. They put their life on the first, to protect our country. They constantly face danger. Many of them pay the supreme sacrifice. Many times they do not even have the equipment, and all that to work. So for the military, it's a good job they are doing under very difficult circumstances. They're doing this under very difficult circumstances. But I would then say that there are issues, the issues of insufficient capacity, issues of insufficient capacity for them to be able to carry out the assignment that they have been given to carry out, which is the internal security of the country. We are not fighting an external enemy, we are fighting an internal enemy. And but then there is the issue of, do they have enough equipment? Do they have enough funding? Do they have enough manpower? That's where the crisis is. Look, I have done a lot of work, like I said, on school safety in Nigeria. And we have about 170,000 schools and other learning places. When I say schools, I mean secondary schools, primary schools, nursery schools, public and private schools, universities, and Quranic centers, and all that. We have about 170,000 of them. So the challenge is, can we then put a military team or police team in each of these schools, which is practically not possible. So, and then the resources to be able to even do it is not there. Remember that the police have, the army have several other areas. There's the banditry fight, there's the war against insurgency, in the maritime sector, there are battles to be fought with oil theft and those who are pirating the marine sector. So it's two challenges and really have to be able to plan in terms of the technology. We do not have enough of it. between the police, DSS, civil defense, the military, we do not have enough manpower. But that then means that we need to develop to develop to this kind of situation the primary strategy that we need to adopt is what I had called the community-centered security strategy, where every community is empowered, is well-resourced, the people of the community are trained to be able to protect themselves. That is the only way with which to protect our country. I mean, in designing the national plan on safe schools, which I led the design for the nation, that's Nigeria's solution to protect schools. We discovered that we had this huge problem. We have so many schools, and we did not have the manpower resources. So we simply looked at the strategy or the philosophy in Africa that says that it takes the community or society to protect a child. And we said, why not? Let us look at it. Let us focus on having the community secure the schools within their environment. So the plan of the plan of safe was to let every properly structured and empowered to provide security for itself. So when a community is able to secure itself, then it means that the schools, the markets, men and women within the community will be safe. That was the design. Because look, security is local. Security is local. And so the resources for security in Nigeria is also local. So what then we need to do? Because if we don't do that, tomorrow we are going to come back talking about kidnapping, talking about abductions of school children, until we are able to strengthen the communities where schools are based to protect themselves. In fact, communities around Nigeria, because if your community is safe, my community is safe, the next my community is safe, it means that it will be difficult to kidnap in this community and take the people across the next community to wherever they are going. And it will be difficult for you to just throw into a community, take children and just throw into the forest. Because the police cannot, the way the police is structured and their manpower cannot secure our country. And so we must then involve the people to protect themselves. And until we do that, you cannot talk about having security in Nigeria. So when you talk about internal security, the military are not even supposed to be involved in internal security. Their primary role is to protect the country from the territorial integrity of the country from external aggression. But because the policing system have largely failed, so you have the military being the first line of defense, and this is not done anywhere where the military is the first line of defense, because you are talking about deploying military all over the country. It's an abnormal situation. The military should be the last line of defense, but because the police have failed and every other security structure of security have failed, that's why you are seeing military deployed in 32 states of the federation. And how many are they? So you now find that if we have external aggression tomorrow, how do we protect ourselves? So it's a crisis, but like I said, I'm a strategist, and I know that the way to go for Nigeria, looking at all the parameters, is that it is time for us to focus on what, again, I repeat, that the community-centered security strategy, and it boils down to arming the community under strict regulation. The law enforcement, like the police, they regulate it, but the community must be allowed. Look, if the community or community, if the people there were armed, the community had some form of army. I'm not saying they should have military-grade arm, but if they were armed with maybe pump action, bombs, and the rest of them, rifles, and these guys come to their community, they can. That will have with your force. We have our counter force. So when the two forces meet, the external aggressors will give way. So, but the community have nothing for self-defense. Some people with AK-47 or even lesser weapon walk into the community, take children, and take them into the bush. Where does that happen? And as I talk to you, we have thousands of Nigerians are in the bush, under unimaginable situation, with bandits publishing videos of Nigerians that are being whipped or maltreated in the camp of bandits and kidnappers, and the government it seems incapable. This is the primary responsibility of government: the security, safety, and welfare of the people. And so, when government is unable to even provide security for its children in schools, then it tells so much about the kind of government that we have in our nation. So, the military, yes, within the context of the resources they have, they are trying their best, but then that best can never be enough until we review our national security strategy and ensure that the people that will democratize security. Democratizing security is that we have security by the people for the people, and security for the people by the people and for the people or something. But we must democratize security so that security will then rest with the people themselves, and the people can protect themselves if they are allowed to, if government will support that structure. I'm not talking about state police. State police will just not do it until it drills down to the community level, because it's funky to talk about state police, but state police will not address issues of kidnapping. They will not.
Interesting. I know various discussion across different platforms. These particular statements have been popping up concerning the fact that our military don't have the right equipment to be able to counter insurgency. But when I look at the amount of money that have been earmarked for budget allocation for the military, in 2025, they had about 3.10 trillion naira was special earmarked for the budget of the military. In 2026, 3.15 trillion naira was also being earmarked for the military. How come we don't have sophisticated equipment that can be able to counter this insurgency? What is your own take on this?
Well, for me, there are many factors. Number one, these equipments are not made in Nigeria. They are imported. So if you are talking about 3 trillion, how much is that in Naira? You know, that's the first thing. That's the first thing. And so yeah, the amount is huge, but to run a military, if you look at in Africa, maybe Nigeria is the 5th or 6th or 7th country in terms of annual budget. But what you have is the budgetary figures, but how much is ultimately released. That's the issue, how much was released to the military at the end of the day. That's number one. The budget is not even adequate because you are going to buy platforms, you are going to buy all sorts of arms and ammunition, you're going to train, operations are expensive. All these are expensive. So even beginning, the budget is not adequate, and then the release is, you can have a situation where less than 60% of the budget that is requested is appropriated and then released, and then not even in the manner that they might want. That's the first thing. Two is, for a long time we didn't equip our military. It was just lip service. So now government is just trying to, like, starting from the beginning, to begin to acquire this equipment. But you can actually really see that in the part of the country where there is terrorism and insurgency, the military is making significant advances because they are having better platform, better training, better equipment right now. But the big elephant in the room is accountability. There have been issues about who do you account to when you give money to the military? Who do they account to? We've had cases of corruption. We have cases of mismanagement. We have all sorts of cases. So really, the problem is money is given and is not adequate to start with. But even the one that is provided, is they accounted for? Who asks the questions? To whom is accountability provided? I know that in National Assembly, that Senator Oshemole had raised this issue, and the Senate President said, no, we're not going to ask for the military to account. So when you have a military that is unaccountable to anybody, there's bound to be malfeasance, there's bound to be mismanagement and corruption, and we cannot hide it. That we certainly have to put that pressure that, look, you have been given money, you must account for it. That's what is done all over the world, and Nigeria cannot be an exception. So I've explained the point that, yes, the military might not have been well adequately funded, but even the one that is given, the police, the one that is given the DSS, and all the various security agencies, the one that is given, there must be a way to account for what is given to the citizens.
Before I let you go, the issue about state security fund is cropping up especially in the light of what really happened in Oyo State. Is it not a wake-up call for other governors across the federation of the impact of boosting their security? Because most of them think that the state security fund that they get from federal government is just for them to spend, without nobody thinking about investing in the security architecture of the state. And that of Oyo State has not raised the question about what the governors use their state security fund for.
I think that many times Nigeria, we misdirect our anger at the federal government. We misdirect our anger at the president. We leave out the most critical arm of government that you even be concerned and provide for jurisdiction. The state governments are corporates. Look, what does it take to provide drone coverage for a state? What does it provide? What does it cost to provide surveillance, technological surveillance for the state? What does it look? These guys, the people that took these children, if in the very first few hours after the children were taken, and a drone search or a drone structure was activated, they will be detected, because whether by the night or day, a drone surveillance of a state can give you the movement of people, all the demographic they can provide for you. So for me, people should, like the governor is saying that the governor of Oyo State, that he imported a platform and that they are just assembling the platform, and the platform will not be ready until the end of June. Your children are taking in the bush. The governor sits in government house and is speaking that grammar. If you want to buy drones, I can tell you where to get drones from. In the next 24 hours, they will ship into your state. In 72-hour aircraft will bring those drones and they can be operationalized. But the governor sits in his office and he says, "Oh, we have bought equipment, but they won't be assembled for the next 1 month, so these children should be in the bush." So the issue is that the citizens of the state should put pressure on the state government. It is their fourth line of responsibility. You hear government say, "Oh, if we're in charge of the security architecture, we'll do X, Y, Z." That's neither here. There's an escapist, like try to hide behind one finger. If the state government will spend adequate money to provide platform, vehicles, bikes, machines, train vigilantes, and the vigilantes, strengthen community security, provide what is required for community security, you will not have this kind of crisis. But because there is no such effort by us. So I will suggest that the citizens of Nigeria, we should be more concerned and focus on asking their governors for accountability. Leave Tinubu alone. Let us be concerned about let us be concerned about our own state. Ask your state governors to account. Ask your state governors to account for the money they have received. Because the state governors, at the current rate, have adequate resources to support the police, support DSS, support vigilantes, and they have resources to acquire. Maybe within the next 1 year, they can make up their mind how many drones they want to acquire, how many of such critical platforms and equipment that will strengthen the security in the state do they want to acquire, and they can do it. They can do it. So my own advice is that citizens of every state in Nigeria should structure themselves and focus on asking their governors for accountability. There might be pushback from the governor, but it doesn't matter. Until pressures are put on them, they will just take it that the monthly subvention they get from Abuja is their pocket money, and it's not their pocket money. What is happening in Oyo State is an example for all of us to see that if we do not take steps to ensure that our governors, spend the money of the state on the people of the state, you continue to have issues like this. So we should wake up and demand accountability from those who our resources is given to take care of our people. What the situation right now is unacceptable. The federal government, I think they are doing some of what they should be doing, but the state governors should wake up, and citizens must compel the state governors, organize themselves and compel the state governors to do what needs to be done.
Okay, I must say Idokoro for joining us this morning and also talking about the recent kidnapping in Oyo State and also the attendant impact on education. And also let's hope that the federal government infrastructure put in place can be able to bring back those children back to their parents right there, and also restore normalcy in Oyo State. Thank you so much, Dr. David, for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much. My pleasure always.
Yeah, so much right there discussing with Dr. David Okoro right there on the issue about the security. So much from this to Abuja studio. We'll take a quick break as we link up with Lagos studio.
Many thanks for rejoining our Lagos Network studio this beautiful morning on CMI. I'm Marcelina Unkwo. And our guest this morning that would help us talk about this topic is Mr. Tony Uwanje. He is a political analyst. Hello, Mr. Tony. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Ben.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, today we're going to be talking about Tinubu's third year in office, 29th of last month. Tinubu completed 3 years in office. So we're going to be talking about the economic reforms, security challenges, and the road to 27. But we'll focus more on the security challenges. 3 years ago, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took office with a promise of renewed hope and immediately embarked on some of the most far-reaching economic reforms in Nigerians' recent history, from the removal of fuel subsidy to foreign exchange reforms. And the government says these tough decisions were necessary to rescue the economy and secure the nation's future. Yet, for many Nigerians, the reality has been rising prices, higher transportation costs, increasing pressure on household incomes, and also majorly on insecurity. I mean, we've been seeing what has been going on insecurity issue in Nigeria. How do we tackle insecurity? We saw the recent one that happened in the Ogbomoso in Oyo State, where these people, they're still in captivity. The children, the teachers, the principal, including the teacher, that was beheaded. You know, this thing is, you know, it has gotten a lot of people talking, trending on the internet. Even we saw that there's a protest today in Oyo State, and even the NUT, you know, they've gone on strike. And what is the government doing about it? Also, we saw that the president, you know, deploy 1,000 forest guards, you know, and people are still talking, saying, will this help, you know, curb insecurity in the country? It has not gotten to you yet, doesn't mean it is not happening. I mean, what will be the lasting solution to insecurity in Nigeria? Mr. Tony, the government says the economy is recovering. Let's start from that before we move to insecurity. I mean, 2027 is just by the corner, and the government, they're saying that the economy is recovering. What would you have to say about that? With what we've been saying?
Yeah. The economic, of course, last week was the third year of Tinubu's administration.
Yeah.
And so, of course, we saw a lot of them on TV. Most of us getting it to defend, you know, present his achievements, so what they've done, blah, blah, blah. Economically, from my own perspective, they've not really done well. Yes, because it's not what you wrote on paper that matters. It's what the people out there on the street of Nigeria is going through. If you say you have sorted, I mean, economic reform, things are now, you know, looking brighter. You know, we've been able to conquer some monsters that have been, you know, ridiculing the economy before. People are not seeing it. People, what's the essence of an economic reform when it's not affecting the life of the people. It's a no-no for me. Let me even start with when he came on board. For me, I've said it many times. He made a blunder when he said subsidy is gone. And that I was watching, we were watching him on TV after the swearing in, and he was saying, it wasn't part of his speech. Just said subsidy is gone. I think he was excited, but I was expecting that we make the correction immediately after the swearing in, like, oh, send your media people. No. This is what I said. We're going to do it, but first, there must be cushioning effects. I just said, definitely I'm going to remove subsidy, but not immediately, because there are certain things that must be done before I can achieve it.
Exactly.
Cushioning outdoors, how do you take the effect on the people away? First and foremost, when you want to do that, because it's going to be harsh in the economy. Okay, if we remove this subsidy, how do we pump it back to the people so at least they can feel it?
Exactly.
Those things were not done. Then they went ahead and said the floating of the naira. You can see $3 is about almost hitting 2,000 before they were able to, still using subsidy to the same thing on the subsidy is gone. Now, you say Nigerians are going through a tough time since that statement was made, because when you say subsidy, for instance,
we saw that it got almost, for the primaries, got almost 11 votes. It got me thinking that despite the insecurity in the country, despite the economy, what has been happening in the country, we are Nigerians, we're seeing what is happening in the country. And these 11 million persons, where did they come out from? Somebody made a statement saying, no matter how bad you are, there's still people that would like you or that loves you. So it's got me thinking, at that point I was thinking that a lot of Nigerians are like, oh, because of what has been happening, they would want to try new governments and all of that, and pulled out this votes for just primaries election. So do you see the president gaining a chance for the forthcoming 2027 election? So let's talk about that first before we move into insecurity.
Nigerian politics, normally, at times I just want to switch off from it, but it's not possible because these are things you see on a daily basis. For instance, I saw the primaries you were referencing. You saw what happened when people, you see a line of 100 people. They count from 1 to 50, from 50 to 700, from 700 to 10,000. That was what, and it was being publicized. And I was expecting the president, forget election. Once you're good, people will vote for you. You don't get. People will vote for you. You don't need all this kind of manipulation. Just focus on deliverables. You promise certain things. Go on it. People will vote. But when you want to manipulate it, you know, you're doing it in the public glare. You don't even give. You don't care what people think. These things were televised. And I was expecting the president to say, no, this is not democracy. This is not direct primary. This is not for. If it's 100, let it be 100. If you're coming out with 1 million votes, no problem, but you know it was properly counted. Then I was surprised when APC adopted it. Likewise, other parties.
Yeah, ADC did it,
yes.
APC did it.
And that is not a good foundation to project 2027 idea of what will happen next year. Considering what happened in 2023, he was outside government. Buhari was president then. Now he's president. You can see in the past 2 years, they've been doing campaign for election. I was expecting that the president, INEC, say something. Oh, because I know those ones are not independent anyway. Or say, tell this media, say, please put this up. It's not campaign yet, but you loved it. All over
which is against the law.
Which, of course, it's against the law. But because it's there. So again, that gives you an idea of what 2027 will be. Is the president now? You can see they've started. How can you tell me if a party who registered about 11 million and you're getting 10 million votes? Even in the last election, well, it's ridiculous. And the pattern follows the, I don't know if NDC though, and other parties. It doesn't make sense. In 2027, I'm not. It will take the grace of God for things to go south. That's for him not to win the election. Yeah, because if you want to project, you're projecting based on what you're seeing at the moment, right? Based on what you're seeing at the moment, based on what I am seeing at the moment, on the party primaries, on the body language of the president, what's going on within the political parties, especially the APC, the agenda they are setting, the direction they are setting. I don't think other political party has a chance. I don't think they have a chance in 2027, except something happened. And that's why I was praying that the opposition should come together. Come together as one. We have Donald Duke, I think in PRP. We have one guy in Labour. We have Atiku Abubakar in ADC. We have P2B in NDC. We have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in PDP. PDP has two. Wike faction presented one. Then Turaki has another. Yeah, so it's about 7. So when the ballot paper comes, where the problem will come from, So and they will manipulate. But if it's just 2 parties, just 2, like during Abiala's 1993, we had just SDP and NRC. NRC and Tofa and Abiola. It was easy. You make this thing easy for the voters too, because I don't need to. Have you ever voted before? When you vote, you take time to look at, so you don't make that mistake.
Exactly.
But when they are just 2, it's easy to spot. So you can see the manipulation has started. Some of these presidential aspirants, they are presidential candidates, they know very well that they are not going to win.
Okay, now let's talk, let's move to insecurity. We've been seeing what has been happening. I open my WhatsApp every day and I see different kinds of posts, bring back the children. On Children's Day, some persons were celebrating Children's Day, yeah? While some children were still in captivities with the teachers, the principal and all of that. It's really sad to see that 2-year-old child is there, 3-year-old child is there. And it is past 2 weeks already, though the president deploys, I said earlier, 1,000, forest guard, and a lot of persons are saying without help, the issue of insecurity has been a major problem. And we've been thinking and we've been asking, how will the government tackle insecurity? Because we wake up every morning to different stories. We don't even know what's going to happen in the next 24 hours. We don't know what will happen tomorrow. We don't know if they are coming to the state, they are going to the state. I saw a video, I don't know how true is it, circulating on the internet that they caught some of them in Ikorodu or something. And also, see what happened in Oyo. Let's talk about the insecurity in Oyo State. I mean, it's past 2 weeks. Those people are still there, even though the governor, Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, came out to say that, oh, no matter, because there was a video, there was a statement he made one time where he said, oh, if it's for us to negotiate with these bandits for them to bring these people, we'll do it. You know, and some persons were saying, oh, you came out to say we would negotiate with the bandits. Another person was saying that these are things that most of these government people do, but they would not come out to say that. The fact he came out to say it, oh, he's been honest, and all of that. What would you have to say? Let's talk about the insecurity issue in the country.
When President Bola Ahmed came, after succeeding the late General Muhammadu Buhari, let me say, was one of the people who believed that Tinubu was going to do something different.
Oh, you were one of the people.
Yes, I was optimistic because we know what Buhari did with this. You see cow roaming everywhere. People say, oh, Buhari brothers, you know. So we remembered what we talked about, and cattle ranching and all that, moving cattle from Sokoto to Birnin Kebbi, from Birnin Kebbi to Bayelsa by road, and then marching on people's farms. And then Buhari was just sitting aloof and watching. He did nothing because definitely we know the pattern. But so when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came, I was expecting something, you know, different. Just different. Because why? He has been governor of this state, and at least I saw this thing myself. I was born here in Lagos. I saw the impact he made as governor. Forget the politics. As governor. And I was expecting things to be different. Somebody, because it came with background of knowledge, experience, field, governance. It was governor of Lagos State for 8 years. And since that 8 years, since 1990 till this date, 1999 to this date, he has been in charge of Lagos. Each one our governors, local government chairman, you know. So I was thinking something is going to be different, but so sad. They were still talking about this after Buhari's administration 3 years ago. That gives you an impression, or that tells you that it's not going to be easy during his administration. It's not focused on it. Why am I saying so? Recent event that happened in Oyo State, it took the presidency or the federal government 2 weeks before they reacted. How did they react? They sent Gbajabiamila, Chief of Staff, to the President, Nuhu Ribadu, National Security Advisor, Senior Special Advisor to the President, the Defense Minister, General Chris Musa, you know, they were there, wearing Agbada. It became like it was a funfair. And then they made some promises. Promises 2 weeks after they kidnapped, where we have kids in the forest. 2 weeks after. That's how many days now? I think they get Saturday. Today is Tuesday. Has anything changed? Nothing has changed. And then you tune your television, you see a man coming on TV. That's somebody that was supposed, they're supposed to be arrested after that live interview. Or the governor of Oyo State suing him for slant, because I don't know where that is coming from. But it gives you an idea of Nigerian politics. Everything, they politicize it. He came and he said, no, he's even thinking that I may be wrong, maybe the governor of Oyo State. I mean, how can he say that? Everything is not politics at all. How can he say that? And that same state, there's a minister under the present administration who has promised that if the governor doesn't mind his business, he will set fire in Oyo State. Fayose came to speak on his behalf. We know the web. We know what's going on between Fayose and Nyesom Wike. And he came on TV yesterday. There are some things you don't say on air. On a good day, you don't go about, I mean, again, that gives you an idea, the direction this whole thing is going. that is not going to be solved soon. It's going to continue when people, actors, whom we expect will lead this, lead the way, and give us idea. The person I'm mentioning was a governor for 8 years. So you can imagine living in a state for 8 years for such a person. And then you expect the president, maybe by today, be saying what that guy said. It's completely wrong. We shouldn't politicize this. It should be focused on, bringing out these children. It's happening. It happened in Oyo State. It happened in Borno, almost the same time. And as we speak, nothing yet.
This is literally okay.
Okay, so before now, I said this somewhere, on too. There was a day there was an event where the president was seated, I think at the villa, and the Senate president was holding the mic, and he said that people who are promoting this are enemies of the president. That they know these things. They are enemies of the president. That they are doing it because of 2027 election. That was the Senate president. This president was seated, watching him. I was expecting the president, when he picked the mic, to counter it. Please, don't politicize this. That's what, even if you're thinking in that direction, even if that's your thought, but you don't come on air.
To say it.
Yes, you don't allow that to go unchallenged. But they allowed it. And days after, the president himself said it.
Even I saw a video of the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, said something that we should see that these people, they are doing this thing just to tarnish the image.
He said it again.
That after election, we'll see that insecurity will subside.
Which means that maybe there's something we don't know, but they know as politicians. Just as Farisha is saying, how can you sponsor such a thing? I'm the governor, for instance. I'm responsible to bring attention to my negative attention, for that matter, to my state by kidnapping people in my state. Do you know? And I'm projecting myself to be governor. Then I'm going to promote negativity in my state. Does it sound well? But the politician says it, and it goes cost-free because maybe that's what they do anytime election is close by. And if you listen to if you watch the president and listen to him, they all believe this. That's why he's not taking action. He's going about this like, it will fizzle out. We know them. If you know them, go after them. You know that's my problem. If you know these people, go after them. But when you just say, we know them, it tells you that they cannot tackle this. Because at the president, the buck stops on your table. You know everything. Security reports are dropping on your table 247 in seconds. So what are you doing with it? It's not about summoning security chiefs every AK market days to come and give you briefing on what's going on. You know what's going on. He knows. So when they blab this, you can tell that it's going to continue for a long time. Since you came, have you seen all these bandits being tried? Have you seen them being tried? General Musa, Chris Musa, when he retired as chief of defense staff and made minister of defense, he said, shoot them aside. Shoot terrorists aside. That's the order he gave Nigerian troops. On this Orire incident, he's pleading for patience. Except you don't want to believe what's going on. It's so clear to anybody that these guys are not ready to tackle this.
We also saw a video where he said that we should pray for these terrorists for them to change. Even
that's the president,
the president, he said so. Even Shagumi came out one time to say that, you don't want to talk about him. Shagumi came out one time to say that, these terrorists, they are our brothers, we need to, pray for them, we need to rehabilitate them and all of that. And, recently after Saudi Arabia attacked him, recently came out to say that, he didn't mean that they are enemies. He changed the statement and all of that, and saying that, this ransom they are collecting, they're using it to, get more arms and ammunition. After you said earlier that they are our brothers, we should accept them into the society. And a lot of persons are saying that Shagumi knows those people. I mean, why it's coming out to the internet to talk about this, and the government saying that they know those people, that to the extent they're even negotiating with those people. And to cut the whole story short was when they, brought out some of these bandits, like 700, I guess, to rehabilitate them. And I'm like...
And put them back to
the society. Now you're even working, you don't know if you're working with a bandit. I mean, even though some of them would want to repent, not all of them. And now you've put these people out in the society to start mingling with people. You don't even know what they would do next. You don't know what will come. And you're even paying them, to this country. And sometimes I'm just like, Nigeria.
Yes. At times they will tell you, I've heard them, they will tell you, after all, Yaradua did same to Niger Delta militants. It's not the same. It's not the same. Militants were protecting the natural resources God blessed them with. And so when people come, they take this thing away from my backyard and not develop my area. It's not the same. These guys just woke up one day and said, we're going to go against the state. People start equipping them. Again, they don't just do it. So in the present, when we're talking about terrorism, banditry, it's not the same. This one has a different dimension. Look at it this way. In the north, you see these people, they march. It's on the street. Their bikes, at times, 200, 300, 500 bikes, brand new bikes. And you know how much a bike is now? It's close to 2 million for one. Brand new bikes. Who purchases it? And then you see AK-47. You see them wear military uniform. They fraternize within communities. They marry these children. They marry the women. They come for parties. They come for naming ceremonies within the north. They fraternize. You see them wear uniform. I saw one video the other day. I saw policemen were engaging them. Military men, they were there. You will see them wear the camo, and nothing happens. So what are we talking about? That's why I believe that they are not ready yet. If they are ready, this thing can stop in a month. When you kidnap a bandit terrorist based on religion or anything, once you are spotted, you take him down. Passenger said in many times, if you don't know what to do for foreign help, are you saying for them not to even seek help shows that there's something, there's an underlying, there's an undercurrent somewhere. For them not to seek help, because if something is disturbing you, for instance, out of it. So you keep telling people, please, how do I, it shows that because it's hooking you. Well, in this case, they're just watching like, these people are making noise now. We are doing something. I'm not gonna give us, that kind of stuff. Give us time. We're doing. Can you say that? If these people in the forest were tackled that same day, I can assure you, under 48 hours, because they are in a forest. They are in a forest, in a community. They navigate between communities. They move from farm to farm, and people see them most of these times. They know where they stay. At times they come to a forest and lodge. You take a drive on Nigerian road. You see all these forests. They belong to people. If you want to challenge it, go and put the house there. Just go into any of this forest, open it, and you see the ownership. How can they all, knowing staff, these people, Inspector General, they give excuses? I don't blame them though, because as a commander-in-chief, it's not just a title. It's for you to do certain things right. Life of the people matters a lot. That's why they entrust their lives to you.
Exactly.
That's why the same thing. You don't summon security chiefs and say, please, what's going on? You must have an idea what is going on. And they don't just come and give you report. No, I must have my people too, apart from you, so that you don't come and give me one-line report. I must have people I plant around you to give me, so I have a lot on my hand.
So what you're saying in essence is if the government want insecurity to end,
it will end. It will end.
And you do not see insecurity ending anytime soon?
How? Based on what I'm saying, I don't see, there's no pattern yet to that.
Interesting. All right, thank you so much for your time, Mr. Tony Wanje. Yeah. Thank you for joining us this beautiful morning on CMI.
Thank you so much, Ms. Selena.
And thank you, Nigerians. Thank you, all our viewers, for joining our Lagos Network studio this beautiful morning on TMI. You know, the issue in the country, the issue of insecurity has been a major problem, and we're still hoping and waiting for a lasting solution to insecurity in the country. Thank you once again for joining. I am Marcelina Umko. Would be handing over to our Benin Network studio for the continuation on CMI. Just stay with us.
The man went out to bring in thugs to come and beat her.
Yeah.
In a situation like that, do you think women would have seen that and still want to speak?
Really, we're talking about. That's what I said. So when they bullied her, if she's not bold enough, she will shut up.
What is your advice for girls out there that are so desperate to be married?
We women, we have to be really intentional about our parenting.
If you know a child is being abused, or you see signs, a bruise or a child, it has to be investigated.
People barely even breathe when they are going for a shrebi and something. You have to be
They
smart.
can't sit
If
down.
you see where they are dressing them up and dragging on both sides, you cannot breathe. And these women will stay in those events for hours just to keep up with that beauty trend.
Is that healthy?
That's not healthy.
I am Patricia Uremu Gabriels, and we're reaching you live from our Lagos Network studio. Of course, Women in Conversation is a program designed for women to discuss about themselves.
A very pleasant morning to you, and thank you for joining us on the news update on ITV. I am Lawrence Usifo. Calls for our comprehensive reforms in Nigeria's justice and judicial sector and the strengthening of the democratic institutions have taken center stage at the 2026 Law Week of the Nigerian Bar Association NBA Benin branch. The event themed Reforming Today, Securing Tomorrow provided a platform for critical discussions on justice sector's reform, democratic governance, and challenges that are confronting the nation's legal system. Patience Osarogiwa brings us the details.
Delivering the keynote lecture titled Repositioning for Effective Justice Delivery and Democratic Stability in Nigeria, Justice Mohammed Baba Idris of the Supreme Court stressed the urgent need to strengthen judicial institutions, protect judicial independence, and implement reforms that will restore public confidence in the justice system.
Where justice is compromised or denied, the foundations of stability are inevitably eroded. Where the courts are weakened, undermining, or perceived as lacking independence, the democratic order becomes increasingly vulnerable.
Chairman on the occasion and Chief Judge of Edo State, Justice Daniel Okungbowa, noted that the adoption of technology-driven processes and digital innovations has significantly enhanced efficiency, reduced delays in court proceedings, and expanded access to justice for citizens.
Our judges, magistrates, and presidents of area customary courts are striving to maintain the highest standard of zero tolerance for corruption, particularly where the public seeks fairness, transparency, and integrity.
Chairman of the MBA Bini branch, Barrister Idemudia Iredia Osifo, said the law week was designed to encourage meaningful dialogue on critical legal and national issues affecting the country.
His keynote address is not just a paper for discussion, is a verdict on how we can take this challenge.
Participants expressed optimism that recommendations from the discussions would contribute to building a more efficient, transparent and responsive justice system.
Supreme Court justices are aware of the issues with the judiciary. The issue of bail is constitutional and should not be given with the left and taken with the right.
Sometimes you file an appeal to an appeal court. They don't get answering us on time.
A panel session featured legal experts who examined challenges facing Nigeria's judiciary, including judicial reforms, case management, funding, technology, and access to justice. Patience Osaugiwa, ITV News.
Residents of Akoko Edo local government area of Edo State have been urged to embrace environmental cleanliness as collective responsibility towards promoting public health and sustainable development. The call was made by the Executive Chairman of the Akoko Edo Local Government Council, Right Honorable Bliss Oshionogwe, during the monthly environmental sanitation exercise in Igara, the administrative headquarters of Akoko Edo Local Government. The report is presented by Egusa Agbolaho.
Right Honorable Bliss Oshionogwe has called on residents to maintain clean surroundings, emphasizing that environmental sanitation remains essential to healthy living and community development. Speaking during the monthly environmental sanitation exercise, the council chairman described cleanliness as a vital civic responsibility, noting that a clean environment contributes significantly to the well-being of residents. Right Honorable Oshionogwe commended the Edo State Governor, Senator Monday Okpebholo, for reactivating the monthly environmental sanitation exercise across the state. He assured that the Akoko Edo Local Government Council would sustain the initiative in line with the governor's Shine agenda aimed at improving the quality of life of citizens through effective governance and community development. The chairman also appreciated political office holders, health officials, and residents for their cooperation and active participation in the environmental sanitation exercise.
For us in Akoko Edo, we are determined to sustain the cleanliness His Excellency Distinguished Senator Monday Okpebholo has brought into Edo State's assumption of office. Cleanliness is next to godliness.
In a remark, the Vice Chairman of Akoko Edo Local Government, Honorable Ayo Fatimbi, lauded the commitment of the Council and environmental health officials towards ensuring a successful sanitation exercise.
Environmental sanitation is not one-man business. It's a collective responsibility.
Also speaking, the head of the Department of Environment, Sanitarian Ovenseri Bintu, expressed satisfaction with the level of compliance recorded during the exercise. She advised residents to provide waste bins in their homes and business premises to avoid indiscriminate disposal of refuse in unauthorized locations.
We are cleaning our premises, supervised within the council environment in order to make sure that everywhere is clean.
The sanitation exercise witnessed active participation from residents, community leaders, environmental health officers, and local government officials. Egosa Agbonlao, ITV News.
And concerned by the issues of theft, vandalism, and other security threats in school, the Edo State Security Corps has deployed operatives to junior and senior secondary schools across the state to enhance the protection of students, staff, and educational facilities in the state. The initiative, which commenced in Edo South Senatorial District, is expected to continue in other schools across Edo Central and Edo North Senatorial Districts. Our crime correspondent, Jolade Ojo, has more.
Over time, secondary schools in Benin City and other parts of Edo State have been plagued by cases of vandalism, theft, and unlawful intrusion, leaving several facilities damaged and disrupting teaching and learning activities. To address the challenge, the state government directed Edo State Security Corps to strengthen security in schools and ensure the protection of students, staff, and critical infrastructures against harmful deeds. As part of the initiative, the Deputy Commander of Operations, Edo State Security Security Corps, Richard Balogun, on Monday led zonal commanders on a familiarization tour of schools in Benin City, where they met with principals and private security personnel responsible for safeguarding the institutions. Speaking during the exercise, Richard Balogun said the deployment became necessary to enhance security around schools and protect educational facilities from criminal activities.
And I'm going to be a Kerry governor. He has mandated us that we must go around the whole school, especially those innovated, to make sure we beef up security. And that's why we are going around the schools, identify the newly renovated schools, so we have structure there. Not to harass them, but to protect the school. We don't want to come here and see any of the zinc, even nail removed from there. It's a continuous exercise. We're going around to make sure those schools are protected.
Some school administrators who welcomed the development thanked the state governor and security corps for the initiative.
We must appreciate our dear governor, Senator Monday Okpebholo, a lover of children who truly shows it in every way. We are most grateful to him.
It's not easy for us, but by the grace of God, with this initiative, I think we'll get something better.
We are very happy. We are going to work hand in hand with them to secure what the government has provided for us. We are happy they have come.
Commandant is here, the Commandant Balogun and his team. We want to say thank you, sir. We really appreciate you.
From Benin, Jola Diojo, ITV News.
Let's take you to Oyo State, southwestern Nigeria, where the Nigerian Union of Teachers, NUT, have directed all public and primary and secondary schools teachers in Oyo State to embark on an indefinite strike beginning from Monday, 1st June 2026, over the continued captivity of abducted teachers and pupils in Orire local government area of the state. The directive was handed down by the national leadership of the union and conveyed through the Oyo State wing following the growing concerns over the safety of teachers and learners more than 2 weeks after the abduction of pupils and teachers from the school in the Ahoro, Esinele and Yawuta communities. In a statement jointly signed by the chairman of the Oyo State wing of the union, Hassan Fatai, and the secretary, Salami Ulukayode, the NUT said that the continued detention of the victims have created fear and anxiety among teachers, discouraged school attendance, and heightened tensions across affected communities. The union directed all teachers in public, private, and secondary schools across the state to comply fully with the strike actions and remain at home pending further directives. That is our package on the news update for this time. I am Lawrence Osifo, thanking you for being a part of the news. Good morning.
ITV, certainly the best.
ITV, certainly the best.
The land of Owan is inhabited by the people with common ancestry, language, religion, economic and socio-political ties. However, irrespective of their subtitle differences in language and culture, they share common traditions. The people are known for their hospitality. Owan traced their origin to Benin Kingdom as a
Good morning, welcome. This is TMI Socials. I am Nuoluwakbo Stevens. Better still call me a social media butterfly. Now today we can start with the video of the day. Throwback to when Goodluck Jonathan's wife, Patient Jonathan, did release something that got all Nigerians actually buzzing with the Chibok girls in 2014. Take a look at that moment.
My sisters, if your child lost, will you stay and keep quiet? Will you people stay and keep quiet? The president now is calling you, come, I want to help you. You don't want to appear. Will you agree? No. Now the first lady is calling you, come, I want to help you. Come to find your child, your missing child. Will you keep quiet? No. Child, there is God, oh. There is God, oh. The blood we are sharing, there is God, oh. There is God, oh. There is God, oh. There is God, oh. There is God, oh.
Well, funny, but not funny. Funny how Nigerians now, how many years later, are actually calling out on that video and saying, oh, the government of the day as then showed empathy, showed, sympathy as well to the situation of insecurity in the country. Well, we now come back to modern day Nigeria today. Well, yesterday in Oyo State, we saw a civil society group stage protest in Ibadan over the recent abduction of pupils and teachers in the state. The demonstration came a few days after teachers protested in Ogbomoso, where the kidnapping incident occurred, demanding urgent action over the fate of the victims. Let's take a look.
And that is why we are sending this message very strong. I don't expect anybody to go anywhere. In a serious country, serious citizens don't go anywhere. But because we are so used to suffering, we are so used to choose life. In serious places, over kidnapping in your farm, yeah, boy, you take it out, around the video, and your color, nobody will go anywhere. But we are not so used to uselessness. We are so used to suffering.
Well, really a sad one. One of the inscription there says, our life matters and insecurity now. Now let's move over to the social media streets to see what you have been saying. This user wrote, don't be surprised if one of the victims or don't be surprised if one of the bandits is among them. Okay, great, got it. Another user wrote, this energy should be channeled to the federal government. The state government have no part to control the security situation of the country. While still under story, this user says it is painful because behind every headline is a family that hasn't slept properly in days. Security shouldn't feel like a luxury. Praying for the victims and their families. Well, finally, this user wrote on X. Okay, I think that's all we have regarding that story. Now, remember the actor Emeka Ike? Well, in a video that has now gone viral, Emeka Ike single-handedly staged a protest that erupted at the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) office in Abuja yesterday, as Nollywood actor and House of Representatives aspirant Emeka Ike voiced his dissatisfaction over the outcome of the Nigeria Democratic Congress (NDC) primary election for the Abuja Municipal Area Council seat. Let's take a look. Well, it would have been really great for the video to show when the incident happened, because I feel like the video do more of the talking. But let's see Twitter and reactions if we can on this story. This user wrote, "That's what everyone is supposed to be doing." Okay. Another one says, "Great, he should use Larry and INEC, and all Nigerians will also sue INEC. We trusted that agency with our private information, and now we see we are not safe. INEC doesn't know its job. They have no business holding on to that role." Well, still on this story, this user wrote, "Emeka should have contested in his constituency where he is known. Being a Nollywood actor is not enough for him to contest election in Abuja. He relocated a few years back. What has he done to merit their vote? Does he have the financial muscle to run campaign and mobilize people from different groups in Abuja?" Well, away from that story, hashtag former President Olusegun Obasanjo was trending on Sunday precisely, where he revealed that he has been managing diabetes for 40 years now, for more than 4 decades. Take a listen to him.
Now, most diseases that are not curable are manageable. I have a disease that is not curable yet, and that's diabetes. I have been diagnosed diabetic more than 40 years ago. I still manage it. But what do? I play squash 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays if I'm around. I watch what I eat. Diet can be exciting, can be pleasurable, but if you eat badly, then the consequence can also be bad on you. And then rest. You saw me early this morning. Then I went to church. Then I came back and I told.
Well, reacting to this online, netizens had this to say. Well, we'll start off with this user who wrote on Instagram, "Sir, you have the resources. How do you help those that don't have it, sir? All fingers are not equal, sir, but you look good for your age. Well done." Another reaction there. Well, still on this big classic man wrote, "Obasanjo's experience of managing diabetes for over 4 decades should be a motivation to those battling with the condition. That is not an unmanageable health problem." Now, away from that, we move over to another interesting conversation on social media currently with the state of insecurity in the nation. As now in a video that has gone viral, Nigeria's Minister of Defense, Christopher Musa, has called on Nigerians to support President Bola Tinubu's bid for a second term, saying the administration's reform require more time to deliver their full benefits. Take a look.
Name them. But what I'm saying is that if you could have done this in 3 years, imagine he has 4, 5 additional years to finish. We need Nigerians to understand that a lot of things that were left out is what he's taking. He's taking very bold action, and when you take bold action, there will be difficulty at the beginning, but at the end of it, it's just like a woman that is pregnant. When she's in labor, sometimes you might swear that will be the last time she wants to give birth, but immediately she delivers, she'll be joyful. So it's important for us to understand that what we are going through is making us stronger, and we're going to come out better. So all Nigerians should continue to partner together with the president, give him the second term, and I can show you that Nigeria will be.
Well, it reminds me of the popular quote that says, "What doesn't kill you make you stronger." We're stronger Nigerians. Now reacting to this user wrote on X. A Hall Defense Minister, laugh out loud, is talking about prayer. Kai, at some point in that video. Well, another user wrote on Instagram, "Can this country even get better?" Well, it will. We can only hope and pray. This one says, "Children and teachers are still in the bush languishing. Oga Minister of Defense, how far are you defending?" Good question. Now, this one wrote, "If OBJ can do it for over 4 decades, then who are you not to do it also? You have to learn to discipline your body and soul for greater good. Okay, I think this quote is from, that tweet is from the previous conversation we had regarding former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Now, as we wrap up TMI Socials this morning, in a video that has now gone viral, we get to see the First Lady of Nigeria, Remi Tinubu, says, and I quote, that I have run elections. I am the first woman to be in the Senate 3 times. I don't sing my own praise. I am a silent worker. Take a listen to her.
I know I was going to address it after 2027, but you now putting me on the spot. I've run elections, not once, not twice, thrice. The first woman to be in the Senate for 3 terms. I don't sing my praise, but I'm a silent worker. I'm not somebody who likes to say I'm in the press today, but I work hard. And if I tell you I work 7 days a week, I connect with the grassroots. And if you come and don't connect with the grassroots, and I will say, hit my chest today, I will still be the only woman who has ever done town hall meeting every quarter.
Well, there you have it, Nigerians. It's up to you. And this singular video got social media buzzing and still buzzing as we speak. But on that note, we wrap up TMI Socials. Thank you so much for being part of the show. I am Nuoluwapo Stevens. And from all of us on This Morning on ITV, please stay safe. We'll see you again tomorrow.